Hello, Lisa Richard here with Loving Energy Recharge, coming in to do the Inner Alchemy for June the 19th to the 23rd. For those that are new to this channel, Inner Alchemy is a blend of the teachings of human design, the gene keys, more than existing Lightworker coaching, and our ability to intuitively channel through the energies that are at play. It is also really taking a look at moving through shadow and into light. So moving from our lower vibrating tendencies, our habits, our patterns, our self-sabotages, the fears, the suppressions within our cellular structure, and integrating that into being able to call in more light, to tap into your innate gifts, and to support yourself as you are transitioning from that lower vibrating energy and into a higher vibrating form. If you have found this channel, I'm guessing that you are likely a sensitive, you're an empath, you're somebody who feels the energy quite deeply, and you're probably feeling the call right now to rise and to do the inner work within yourself in order to lead by example and to move through your own patterns to help free yourself to really focus on what it is to be human and what it is to live in a state of joy and in a state of lightness and in harmony with the world around you. And that's not always easy because there's a lot of changes that are going on right now. A lot of things are being shaken up. They're being stimulated. We are seeing a call on humanity to really take a look at self and to dive deep into the self-awareness, the claiming responsibility, and to help us really face the direction that is for our highest good. So we can look at that as a plant, right? And maybe a sunflower, and how a sunflower will always lean its face towards the sun. So we're looking at the light to fill us up, to teach us, to help us keep our chins up when things feel really tight, and when our shadow tendencies, our fears, our suppressions are also trying to hold us down to keep us from rising up, from being vulnerable, and from declaring who we truly are to the rest of the world. But that inner call that you are likely feeling at this time, that call to rise, that call to be authentic, the call to use your voice and to be your divine expression of self, is going to help you to push beyond those fears, those suppressions, those tendencies to want to stay hidden. So a lot of us are rising right now. A lot of us are being called forward to really do this deep work, and no matter what, to keep walking forward on the journey, even though it feels like everything else is kind of falling apart and crumbling around you. Because what is happening is you are losing your old identity. You're breaking away from pockets of individuals or environments that are no longer suitable for your health, for your well-being, for your growth. That also means we are stimulating our mental patterns, our mental ideas, our concepts of the world, and we're acknowledging that a lot of what we know is based on a lie. It's based on somebody else's opinion. It is information passed down from generation after generation after generation, and coming from a time period within our evolution where we were taught to not question authority leaders. So this is taking us back to the Industrial Revolution, to a time of really feeding the masculine energy, of taking people from their homes, from their communities, putting them into bigger cities, putting them into factories, putting them in environments where you needed to work to put food on the table. And if you should question what it is that you're doing, or you should complain that the work conditions were not good, they were hurtful, they were harmful, you were being taken advantage of for your time, for your energy, you weren't getting the money that was owed to you, the leaders would come and you would be out of work. Your family would starve. You would be at the mercy of those workers. So this energy right now that we are in is really having us reflecting back to notice that in our history, in our evolution, We have gone through these patterns of fear where we have listened to our authority leaders without questioning because it was rooted in our need for survival. Now, we're no longer in those time frames. We're in an area right now, and you're going to see this with the generations that are here, the youth, the wisdom within that, where they're questioning everything. And they're encouraging us to question for ourselves our ideas, our belief systems, our patterns, what we've been taught from our caregivers, from society around us, to really come inwards, to come into the body, to come into the way of the divine feminine, to bring forward your intuition, that is the wisdom within yourselves, to really question, does that feel right for me? Does that sound right for me? Does that apply to this time in this age? And is that for the greatest good of humanity? So that energy, that essence, that drive is really here during this time from June the 19th to the 23rd and moving us forward as well as we are stepping into gate 15 in the teachings of human design, which is all about humanity. This is the love for humanity or not, because we have the free will choice to choose. So we use this energy right now, this stimulation that is coming from what is known as the center of self. And that can be seen as your high heart. It's your magnetic connection, your inner compass to that higher power, to the divine essence that is keeping you in alignment to source energy. God, the creator, the universe, whatever that is for you, it is knowing that we have a connection continuously to that higher power. And no matter how many times we feel lost or we feel disconnected, we are constantly attached. Sometimes we just need the reminder to face in a new direction, to face towards the sun. So during this time, this love for humanity in gate 15, we're also coming into the summer solstice. And the summer solstice is that beautiful reflection of the flowers, of blossoming, blooming, coming into the fruits, right? So you're seeing it out in Mother Earth. You're seeing it within yourself where your creativity is being called forward. Your divine essence, your voice, your mannerisms, your magnetic opportunity to attract those things to you to really help stimulate your growth is now here. So we also look out into the world and we see the diversity of the wildflowers, the color, the beauty, the uniqueness of different elements coming together to create thriving ecosystems, and to see the opposite where we're seeing in Mother Earth different species that are being introduced that are foreign, or toxins that are going into the ground that are then detrimental to Mother Earth herself. So we look at the teachings of the natural world because this is also bringing us into the channel of rhythm. And the channel of rhythm teaches us the importance of trusting that every seed that is planted has its own determined time frame for growing, for maturing, and what it will be when it does open up and blossom. And it is no different than the seeds within each and every one of us. And trusting that we all have the capability to grow, to flourish, to bloom, to allow ourselves to really experience the joys of life and all of the offerings that it has. So it is an opening of our chakras. Very specifically, it's the opening of the heart center and really tuning in to the wisdom of the body, your vibration, your aura, your magnetic field, and how that attracts things to it that is resonating with your harmony. So as we are in this gate 15, looking at humanity, looking at the world as we are all together on Earth. We are all residing in this tiny little marble that is floating in space, and we are in this together. So we've been taught separation. We've been taught to compete. We've been bred the fear of scarcity of resources and all these things. But is that really a truth? Are there not ways to come together as humanity to share resources, to enhance one another through the teachings of cultures, language, not deciding that one culture is better than another or one language dominates another, but to accept the world as a difference of opinion, as a difference of culture, as nations that are rich in history and experiences and knowledge. So we're really looking at this time of the channel of rhythm, the gifts in the gate of humanity, the blossoming of the flower, the coming into the summer solstice, and coming into a time to celebrate National Indigenous Peoples Day and the full moon in Capricorn. Now, when you look to the indigenous peoples, here is a culture that is so connected in its traditional form to the earth, to that rhythm, to the cycles, the seasons, the natural way that the seed would grow, when to harvest, how much to take, how much to give back in order to keep the balance. So there is so much there in the wisdom and the learnings and the teachings of this time, and in the relationships to ourself, to the Mother Earth, to our giving, to our receiving, to our patience with one another, as we are all seeds that are germinating at our own time. We're all on different paths in our own evolution. We're not all here to wake up in this lifetime. And it's not our job to get another seed to flower. That opening of the heart, that flowering, that comes from deep within yourself when you have done the work to mitigate your fears and to really anchor down into the foundation of who you are, to know that you're safe to be yourself. So this is a personal journey for each and every one of us, an opportunity to really appreciate one another, to love one another. It is moving us from going from the Gemini season, which was the air sign, into now Cancer, the water sign, and also transitioning us from the third house under the sign of Gemini, which was all about the teachings of communication, self-expression, personal development, how we have our intelligence, so what we are thinking, what we are communicating. And we came out of 7 activations in our throat center during those teachings and that time. Now moving into the 4th house in the sign of Cancer, we're going to be really focusing on our house and our home and family. So this is where we are really coming into looking at our ancestral patterns, those tendencies, the fight, the flight, the freeze, the fawn, so the instinctual fears, and also coming into a deeper wisdom from where you are today and asking yourself, does that still apply? So we're honoring tradition. We're looking at preserving those things that are of benefit to humanity and learning to release those programs, those mindset, those ways of being that no longer are working. And that is really coming into relationship of trusting your body. You're not in the pattern anymore of working to the point of exhaustion. You have the ability now to find a better work-life balance. And sometimes that's really having the honest conversations of self to look at everything that you've accumulated and asking yourself, is it worth holding on to all of these material objects or this way of life that may have been cultivated and created as a desire to fit in and be somebody, instead of really coming into your own rhythm, your own harmony, and questioning, what do you truly need to be happy? So even looking at our resources during this time and how many have been taught to stockpile things and to really grab a lot of accumulation of things in case it should run out. And that was part of our history. That was our grandparents' generation where they did have to stockpile during the wars because there was a shortage of goods. So how much of that fear is still in you that if you don't acquire a lot of things and create this safety nest around you, how much of that vibration of fear then rises and says, well, then I'm going to be without. I'm going to be lacking something. So this is a time in this stimulation to really embrace the teachings of the summer solstice, the abundance that is around us, taking lessons from Mother Earth and really taking what you need, not an excess of that. So finding the perfect balance in that channel of rhythm and that channel of harmony and the relationship to others in your family, in your community, in the relationship with the earth itself to find that beautiful balance. We're also celebrating the full moon in the sign of Capricorn on the 21st, which is also the Indigenous Peoples Day. And Capricorn then is that ability to really take stock of what you have. They sometimes tease and call the Capricorns the consumer report of the signs. So here's the energy to support you in the full light of the moon, to take stock of what is going on in your life, to take stock of your surroundings, to notice the details and report on those details. So this is a report for yourself. What are you in excess of? And what are you depriving yourself of? So sometimes when we are really trying to conquer the material world and pretending to be somebody and fit in somewhere and acquiring all these things, then leaves us depleted in the time and the energy to enjoy them and in the financial means to support them. So we find ourselves spiraling down into shame, into guilt, into forms of self-punishment because of reacting and aligning ourselves to things that are not of your highest calling. They are patterns of behavior fed from a narrative in the mind and passed down generation after generation after generation that have been rooted in fear. So this energy is a beautiful time to also pick out those weeds that are preventing your full growth and your full blossoming. So our shadow energy during this time is dullness. And dullness is going to be anything in your life that is lacking in love, it's lacking in color, it's lacking in creativity, it's lacking in feeling. There is just a vibrational tone that is flatlined. When we feel like we have flatlined, like there's no joy, no vibration, nothing to go towards, well, that's when we are operating from zombie mode. So really looking at that within your life, and it's usually coming from a depletion of your life force energy. And that is the most precious commodity that you have. You're trading your time for money, for resources, for all those things. So you want to harness your life force, your contribution, to place it in areas that are really going to light you up and help you feel good. So looking at the shadow of dullness and looking into your life and really asking yourself, where do I need to really put in some more color, some flavor, some adventure, some fun? Where do I need to look at my space and maybe clean up my environment so that I can breathe and I can let some air in? This is also about connecting to Mother Earth and grounding yourself, reminding yourself that you are a part of life. You are part of the network. So dullness might be that mindset that is, I'm separate from everybody else. So remind yourself, you're in this universe, you're in this tiny little earth, You're in a little marble. You're all in this together. So how can you be separate from this sphere that is within this vast universe, floating in space, which is floating in divine love, holding you from all sides? So really paying attention to your mindset, those old belief systems, working through the dilemma, which is comfort, our comfort zones, right? It's not easy to change. It's not easy for the seed to break out of the ground and dare to then flower. And flower no matter the weather, no matter what's going to land on it, but trusting its only job is to be the full extent of what it's here to be. That is us. So that brings us into the gift at this time, which is magnetism. Magnetism is your aura. It's your vibration. It's your fragrance. It's what you're offering to the world through your vibrational frequency. And we all have this magnetic quality. It's there all the time. If we are in the doom and gloom, then we are magnetically attracting doom and gloom and all those lower vibrating energies that are going to keep us in that story. So we want to use this time of this combination of the elements of air and the elements of water to really start to stimulate your inner self, to add some freshness to your thinking, to your body, to your health, to your rhythm, to remove the dullness, to increase your magnetic attraction, to lift your head towards the sun, to soak in that life force energy, to rejuvenate yourself, renew yourself, to put yourself in alignment, to knowing what is of the highest good, and really honoring that. It's a beautiful opportunity right now to really celebrate all of the seasons, the fruits of the labor, this time of lightness, this time of enjoyment, and really having compassion on the journey that it took you to rise from the ground into now being ready to flower. Because it's not easy to be human. So this is also a period of time where you are reflecting back to love all versions of yourself and to really look at how much you have overcome, how much you had told yourself at one time, I can't, but yet you could, because now you're on the other side of that. How many times have you faced problems and now you have solutions? You have a toolkit of possibilities because you're also on the other side of that. And if you're going through those challenging times right now, if you're feeling like your world is falling apart, your identity is falling apart, you are in this time of the dark night of the soul, remind yourself that you are exactly where you need to be to move from the dullness and move out of the comfort zone that was keeping you suppressed to now help open you up into magnetism, into being fluorescent, which is a light being. So trust that your body knows, your body is wise, your body is holding the cellular DNA of your karma, of those ancestral wounds that are asking you to be the one to break the change and end the cycle, to send love to all of those past versions, to then cut that chain to set yourself free to soar. And when we dare to do the work within ourselves, we set our ancestors free. We show humanity there is a way. And we are so blessed to have many, many teachers with us on earth at this time who are walking the way. They're showing us the way, and you are feeling the call, if you're watching this, to go the way. So the way is breaking away from those old repressive patterns, mindsets, and behaviors, and daring to fall in love so deeply with yourself that you're not willing to compromise who you are. You're not willing to compromise the direction you're being called towards. You're not willing to compromise the opening of the heart that wants to soak in the sun, the freshness, the beauty, the adventure, the gift of life itself. So enjoy this time. Happy summer solstice to everybody. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Happy full moon in Capricorn. Happy celebrating the love of humanity, of which each and every one of us are a part of. We are all in this together. Namaste to each and every one of you. The light in me sees the light in you. Take care.